Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Crista, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am super excited to be introducing you to Blair Kaplan Venables, who I met in New York City, and she is an absolutely incredible rock star for all things PR and publicity, especially using social media. So we're going to be diving into some of her incredible features, and she is going to share all of her brilliance with you if you are looking to leverage publicity and social media to expand your influence and grow your reach as well. Blair, welcome. I'm so excited you're here and it's so nice to see you.
Hello. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
You will always be Blair in Times Square to me because when we were in New York City for an event together, she just so happened to also be on a billboard in Times Square, which is something that I don't think too many of us can say is true. So,
Oh my
congratulations on
gosh.
your billboard feature, which is just one of many incredible features we'll talk about today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, that was really surreal. That was a big head. Big head of my head. Big photo of my head for a month in Times Square, rotating with a couple other co-authors in a book and Kim Kardashian. So, I would say that's definitely been one of the highlights of my career so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to Times Square just so that I could see Blair in Times Square. It was pretty awesome. But let me tell you a little bit about Miss Blair, and then we're going to dive into all of the good stuff. So, she is an expert in social media marketing. She's the president of Blair Kaplan Communications, and she brings 15 years of experience to her clients. She's the creator of the social media empowerment pillars, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. And she really helps her customers grow their followers, and she has done so where they have grown tens of thousands of followers in just 1 month. She's helped her clients win integrative marketing awards and more. And she is the co host of the Dissecting Success podcast. She's an international best-selling author, and she has a recently published book, which is her second book, called The Global Resilience Project. And it's focused on overcoming life's most difficult moments and sharing some absolutely incredible stories. So I want to just start and dive in to some of the incredible features that you've had, because I think this is something that all of us aspire to get, right? You have been featured in Forbes, you've been featured in Entrepreneur, you've been featured in Thrive Global, you've been named USA Today's top 10 conscious female leaders to watch. You've been on a billboard in Times Square. So I want to start with why you think publicity is so important and how all of these amazing features have helped you in your business.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think we need to take it a bit further back. So publicity is a brilliant tool for exposure, but why do you want that? And I think the ultimate goal for any expert is to be seen as a thought leader, to be seen as the go-to expert in their industry. And one of the ways to do that is to secure really awesome spots in the media. And that could be a local, radio station that no one outside your community knows, to a billboard in Times Square and everything in between. But as soon as you start getting your expertise and your name in the media, that's when you start to be seen as a thought leader. And thought leaders are like the leader of the class, like the class president. Everyone goes to them for advice. They learn from you. You get the clients, you get the money, you get the exposure. The media comes to you. The cool opportunities like being on this podcast come to you. So, if you want to be seen as the authority, publicity is extremely important for you.
Yeah, that's so true. And I love that you immediately took it to why, because I think we all can be enamored by all these things that could be bright, shiny objects if we're not really clear on how we're using them, why we're using them, and the importance of them in reaching our mission and having the impact that we want to be able to have. I love it.
Exactly.
Now, how do you feel like it's really helped your business and helped you achieve the goals and the mission that you have and that you're here for?
Well, my current goal I'm working towards. And so my birthday is August 8th. Last year on my birthday, I decided by the time I'm 40, so that's now in 3 years from this very date of recording in 2022. I was going to say 2023, but it's 2022. So by the time I'm 40, I want to empower 88 million people, whether that is to tell stories in the digital space about their business or through the Global Resilience Project. But I'm turning my pain into purpose, my lessons learned the hard way, both in business and real life. And I want to empower 88 million people. So now when I make decisions, I think, is this going to get me closer towards my goal? And to me, it's helping me achieve my goal. I just completed the first year of my 4-year plan. And I'm thinking, I was trying to do the math, which I'm really bad at, but I think maybe I've already empowered 30 million people with being on various TV shows, podcasts, and in Times Square. So I have a goal and I'm working towards it, and that will determine what I focus on in my marketing and public relations efforts.
There's so much that I love about what you just said, but one of the things is I think we often think really small. We think about the few people that we're influencing or the small number of people in our communities. But when you are leveraging things like publicity, when you're on podcasts, it just lets you have such a larger reach that the fact that you influenced and were able to impact that many people in 1 year is absolutely incredible. And I think it would be so hard to do if you weren't leveraging publicity, social media, and those sorts of things to support you in that mission.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And thank you for saying that. I mean, I'm not someone who ever plays small. Like I literally was born an entrepreneur. I've had jobs and whatnot, but like, as a little kid, I sold Avon. I had my mom sign up and I went door to door selling makeup so I can afford makeup. I imported cigar box purses from New York and sold them in the mall. I sold roses in the nightclubs. I've always kind of like just been outside the box as a thinker, and that's really led me to where I am now. My public relations company, I started at the age of 23 at the beginning of the recession in Vancouver, British Columbia in 2008. So I'm in my early 20s, a female. I'm, playing with a lot of big fish. And what I decided was like, how am I going to stand out? How am I going to make a difference? And that's when it really started, where I was like, I need to start doing public speaking, and social media marketing just became a thing. And I was starting to implement it for clients, but there's nowhere to learn it. So I started trying things out. And if it worked, I taught it to other people. So I've always done things in a non-traditional way. And I think with publicity, any publicity is good, but thinking in a non-traditional way on how to get publicity or which publicity you want to be featured in is a really good way to stand out.
Yeah. And what are some of your top strategies or tips for doing that for those who maybe either don't yet leverage publicity and would like to, or maybe people are, but they're not really getting the type of results or reach that they're really looking for?
So I think it's important to look at your low hanging fruit first. Who do you know that even has an Instagram interview series or a podcast, or maybe you're friends with someone that works at the local radio station or newspaper? Who do you have connections to? Maybe you know me and you reach out to me and you want to be a guest on my podcast. I have 2 podcasts, Radical Resilience and Dissecting Success. Maybe you decide to start your own little interview series where once a week you interview other professionals or other people in your industry. What can you do to start getting experience and start getting exposure? Because little wins are still big wins. Being interviewed on, your friend's Instagram show, that's a media win, right? Writing a big beautiful article on your LinkedIn, that's a media win. We immediately go to Oprah or like Drew Barrymore, and like I have media I've never been featured in that I like. It's my dream to be in Fast Company, and it will happen one day. I love Fast Company. I have a dream of being recognized on the cover of a business magazine. I'd love to be one day recognized on the cover of a business magazine because I have a lot of online exposure. And so, 2 things. One, make a list of all your low hanging fruit. Who do you know? Or who do you know that can give you introductions? And two, what's your dream media? What's your dream media? You're not just going to all of a sudden wake up and write an article and like throw it at the wall and hope it sticks, right? You're going to have a plan. Are you submitting to Thrive Global? What topic are you writing about? Do you know who to submit it to? Are you making a pitch, or are you writing it yourself and getting it published online as the expert? There's so many ways to get mentioned, right? So what's your dream media, and then work backwards on how you're going to get there.
Yep, I love it. I always talk about beginning with the end in mind and reverse engineering your results.
Yes.
So I love that plan. And I feel like one of the mistakes that you just sort of hinted at in there, which let's see if I picked up on that right, is people maybe not going after the low hanging fruit and immediately just going after the really big media wins. Is that a common mistake you see? And are there any others?
The biggest mistake is people not reaching out to any media. Like people just not doing it at all. And I think it's not because they don't want to, it's that they don't know how to.
Mm.
They don't know how to, or they're scared about visibility. Like my job used to be to put my clients in the spotlight, and I've switched to being in the spotlight. So I get it. So one of the biggest mistakes is people not having a strategy or seeing the importance of it. And two, you're right. People go right for the big guns. Like I want to be in Forbes. I want to be in Entrepreneur, but you have to have you don't have to, but it's easier to get that exposure if you have other media exposure. And starting small, if you're listening to this podcast, I sure hope you have LinkedIn. But you can look at your LinkedIn connections and see who is connected or works in the media, right? Who do you know? Maybe your friend in your yoga class, like they like their brother was a reporter. Like who do you know? Take the time to sit with a pen and paper or like fingers and keyboard and make a list. Who do you know? And then reach out to them. Who can provide you an introduction? And you just start making pitches.
Brilliant. It sounds so simple when you break it down, but I think that's the key is we can easily overcomplicate things if you just take the time to figure out what you want and actually write it down, create a plan, digital or good old paper and pen. You're already halfway there instead of just having it be this thing that you want that you never take action on.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about social media because I know that is one of your superpowers. So, why social media and how does that really play a role in fitting together and expanding your reach and making the impact you want to make?
Social media is a publicity tool. Social media is a publicity tool. And I think that's really important to know. You're not just going to stumble upon me on Instagram. I'm Blair from Blair. Sorry, that's not who I am. I'm not Bear from Bearland, but that could be cool. I'm Blair from Blairland. I am Blair from Blairland on Instagram, and you might hear this podcast and come and follow me. You're not immediately going to go and click on like one of my posts and spend $5,000 with me. You're probably going to follow me for a while, and then maybe in a year or a couple weeks, you might book a call with me or come to a free workshop, and then eventually you might spend thousands of dollars with me. You're not coming to my Instagram profile being like, I heard her on a podcast, click, buy. Like, it doesn't really happen like that. I think the numbers are variable, but you need about 20 touch points, 21 touch points, 16 touch points. I hear that all the time. The numbers change, but you need a lot of touch points before you make a decision. Social media is one of those touch points times 2, times 10, times 100. It's a place to tell your story. And social media, people get very hooked on like using social media as a sales tool, but it's a PR tool. It's a place to let people into your world, to get to know you, to get to know your services and your products, and to welcome them in and to build that like, no, trust factor. And when I started my company, social media marketing wasn't a thing. I purposely, but accidentally started a coupon company. So in 2008, I left my job at Lululemon, and Lululemon gave their staff free yoga. So now I'm 23 in one of the most expensive cities in the world. And I'm like, whoa, yoga's expensive. I like yoga. So I was like, there must be a coupon book. My mom was a couponer. So it was like, the show and save. We had a coupon book. I'm like, there must be a coupon book for health and wellness in Vancouver. And there wasn't. So I started one. I went to all the things I wanted to do, like yoga and traveling and art and spa. And I just was like, do you guys want to be in my coupon book for health and wellness to inspire a healthy lifestyle? And everyone said yes. And I went from a physical coupon book to online to being an online community. Anyways, long story short, don't start a coupon company, just pay for yoga. But because of that, I was networking my face off. So I started two businesses at once. And the coupon company is why I was networking. So I would go out to sometimes 2, 3 events a day. And then I would set up meetings and I'd go for all these coffee meetings. And we'd start talking about my journey with the coupon book, starting with public relations and what I'm doing. And the common question was, do you know how to use social media for PR or for marketing? And I always said yes, even though there was nowhere to learn it from. There was no mentors, there was no courses, there was nowhere I can Google it. It was so new. And I just took what I knew from PR and implemented it into social media. And I've created my own system called the social media empowerment pillars, which is the 7 pillars you need to build out on social media to be seen as a thought leader. And because I've been doing this my business is 14. I've been doing this for about 15 years, social media. I know it works. And I know the social media is a PR tool, not a sales tool.
I love that perspective, and I can't wait to dive in and learn more about your empowerment pillars. But it's so fascinating how so much of what we're taught really is not good advice. It's really
Yeah.
not good advice at all. And so I love this perspective shift. So, can you dive into what those empowerment pillars are and how you do build yourself out as that thought leader, which is really what we all want?
Yeah, for sure. So, a couple things. One, social media is a long game. You're not going to build an account and like explode tomorrow. It's a slow burn, my friends. Look at social media as like your brochure or your reality show. Okay. And when I say that, like it depends what platform you're on, but this stuff is applicable to almost everything. And when I say it's a long game, I say you're creating content that you want to live on. You want to let people in. So when they come across you and they go on a scroll, like sometimes people start liking posts I made 4 months ago because they find me and they go through my stuff and they're liking old posts because they like what they see. Okay. So the 7 pillars, they spell out the word empower. Good way to remember them. So it's edutain, that's educate and entertain. You're always going to be telling your story. You're not selling. You're telling, not selling. Okay. The money pillar, it's about how much money do you want to make, but also what is your advertising budget? Because you want to get people off of social media onto your email list. Because if Instagram, like, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp all went down. What happens if it never came back? I would have lost over 30,000 followers. I don't have 30,000 emails. I'm trying, but I never started building my email list. So this is one of those, I learned things the hard way so you don't have to. Get people off social media and onto your email list. But you know what I mean? Like you own your email list, you don't own your Instagram followers. So part of the way to do that is by having an advertising budget and a lead magnet and, getting people onto your list. So do you have money for advertising? You should, because if people don't know who you are, you can spend money on advertising on social media and be in front of people who are yet soon going to be maybe your customers. P is for personas. Who are your ideal customers? O is for other players. If people aren't spending money with you, who are they spending money with? Learn who they are. Maybe you want to build a partnership with them or referral program. Heck, I have some people who are considered competition, other players, and we've just partnered. We partner. We leverage, we refer business back and forth. Who are the other players? Wins, that's the publicity pillar. Wins is all about your strategy, your publicity, but not just that. Why it's called wins is because it's not just about sharing you and how awesome you are with the world in the sense of media, but it's also about sharing your wins on social media, sharing your client wins, sharing your testimonials, anything. I call it peacocking. Male peacocks like stick their feathers out and like they shimmy to attract females. This is what you're doing. You're going to peacock. You're going to share the cool stuff you're doing, because if you don't brag about yourself, if you don't peacock, how can I know how awesome you are? And how can I share how awesome you are with my community if you don't share it with yours? Okay. And then we have engagement. That's a big thing missing from most strategies is engagement. You can't just post and ghost. You can't just like schedule a bunch of stuff and like go play golf. I mean, you can, but you need to be a real person. You need to engage. You need to comment and like and follow and watch stories. You or someone on your team need to be a real person. And there's a strategy behind that. And then the final pillar is called realistic goals. I break down goals 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. I work backwards, like my 5 year vision and then backwards to 1 year. And we set personal, professional, and health goals. And those goals tie into all the other pillars, like the money pillar and the content pillar, because social media is not just about your business, it's about being vulnerable and letting people in. And those are the 7 pillars.
They are absolutely brilliant. And I love just how holistic it is and how I feel like you really touch on everything that's really important. It's not just very singular focused, which is something that I see really often as people pick one little piece, go deep on it, which is great. But without all of those other pieces to fit together, you end up with something that just doesn't really work very well. So brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I really like these. This is what I've been teaching. This is what I've created. It's really interesting. I create my strategy based on telling stories. I don't create it based on the algorithm or what the like hot new trend is on social media, because stories go back, I don't even know the history, maybe I should have researched that, but like stories go back to the beginning of time. Like if you like Adam and Eve or the Bible or the like I'm Jewish, the Torah or like dinosaurs, like stories live on. And social media is a place to tell those stories. And this is what you need to do. And it's not really complicated. It's not like, oh, the engagement pillar is a 10-page document. No, it's like pick your times of the day that you're going to engage, how you're going to engage, and just create, like, be accountable or delegate it out. And I'm very specific. My engagement plan, I mean, I'm always on social media anyways, but like the planned engagement is right after I make a social media post, I usually spend 20 minutes engaging. So that's commenting on other people's posts, liking other people's posts, responding to comments on my posts, following new people, and looking at stories. I do that. I spend about 20 minutes after I make a post. That's my engagement plan. It's not this huge novel.
Yep, keep it simple. I love it. I absolutely love it. So let's talk for a moment about all of the different strategies and things that just pop up, right? Like right now, video is really big, reels are really big. Who knows what it'll be tomorrow? Things change all the time. How do you not get caught up in that? Leverage things that, are going to work, but not get caught up in feeling like you need to constantly be on every single trend and have something that is sustainable and that's going to last and work for you regardless of what Instagram or whatever platform throws at you.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I love taking photos. I always have, and like videos are important. So, like, I experiment, but I stick to what I'm good at. I stick to what I like to do. As soon as you don't like what you're doing, it's going to feel like work and a chore, right? So, reels are really important. It's very seldom that you're going to see me dancing in front of the camera. I sometimes make reels if I feel inspired, but I'm trying new things out. I take good photos. So now I make reels that are just a picture of my photo as a video with music. And so I think if something piques your curiosity, try it, but don't create content because there's a trend or a theme. If you're like, I hate the word hack. Like I say F the algo, like, beat the algorithm. I don't know if I can swear on this show, but like I think you gotta post who you are and what you are. Like if you like writing these long paragraph posts, keep doing that. Or, if you're like, wow, like that's not really working and they exhaust me, don't do that. Like sometimes my posts will be like, I'm a mermaid and like it's me in the water, Sometimes they're like bullet points, sometimes they're lessons. And so you can see what other people are doing and try it, or you can just keep being yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I know for me on my Instagram, a lot of people are like, you need to do more video and you need to do more reels and you need to do, and I'm like, sure, yeah, makes sense. However, that's my place to show up as me, share what's top of mind for me. If you really want to know me and see the behind the scenes in my life, Instagram is the place to be. There's other platforms for other things. And none of that feels really good to me right now. Maybe tomorrow it will. But right now, putting a whole lot of words down and kind of sharing what I'm thinking, that's what works for me. So that's what I do.
Yeah, and I think that's
Yeah.
brilliant. And you just keep doing what works for you. And like it does, like Instagram, for example, like if they release a new feature and you use that feature, more people will see your post because they want people to use new features. But people are going to see your posts anyways. There are, like people are going to see your posts anyways. So don't get really panicked. it's like all these social media companies are competing against one another to be better, and they keep innovating, and the features and changes are coming out so fast. Like, as an expert, my job is to stay on top of it and share and learn and see what works. But I'm more focused on the PR side of it, of telling my story, and maybe have a creative moment, maybe a lesson learned. Like, I show up in the good, I show up in the bad, I show up when I can. Sometimes I don't show up at all for a couple days. And I try not to use my energy into learning new systems and algorithms and whatnot, because they're changing too fast. They're changing too fast. So,
I love it. So tell us more about what you do and how you work with your clients and anything exciting that you have coming up.
yeah, so I am a social media expert and mentor. So I do private coaching. You get access to me as your publicist and social media expert in your back pocket. We create a strategy, and I basically hold your hand. You get Voxer access to me, and we meet once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on your schedule. And we basically build a strategy, and I teach you how to implement it. I teach you how to spread your wings and fly and become that thought leader. And I do it with you. I'm like the puppeteer in the background telling you what to say and what to do. So I do that. And I have a group coaching program called Empowerment. It's a 90-day group coaching program where we build out the empowerment pillars. And I also offer my product, which is I create an empowerment plan for you. So those are like my three main ways you can work with me. I can create a strategy for you. I can create a strategy for you and help you implement it, or you can join one of my group coaching programs, Empowerment.
Brilliant. And now tell people where they can find you and
Okay.
learn all of the good stuff.
Well, my website is blairkaplan.ca. Is there going to be show notes?
Of course there
Okay.
is.
Well, I have a gift. I have a little visibility roadmap gift. So if you want kind of to dive into what the visibility roadmap is, how to be more visible, be seen as a thought leader, maybe click the link in the show notes. But yeah, my website, blairkaplan.ca, is the best way to get in touch with me. My 2 books are both available on Amazon. You can type in Blair Kaplan Venables, but The Global Resilience Project and Pulsing Through My Veins, Raw and Real Stories from an Entrepreneur, both are available on Amazon. I'm everywhere on social media. Blair Kaplan Venables, Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook are my jams. Instagram, I'm Blair from Blairland, not Bear from Bearland, but Blair from Blairland.
I love it. Okay, so there's a question I ask everybody, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to share. And
Okay.
that's, in your business, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean?
I say no. I say no. I used to say yes to everything. I say no. And also, I cancel things. I am not scared to rearrange my schedule.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, final question before we
Okay.
wrap up this episode, and that is, any final tips for people who want to establish themselves more as a thought leader and leverage social media or publicity to do so?
Be very clear on your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you love it? And who are you? When you're very clear on your why, you're able to show up and tell stories about how you got to where you are.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. All right, Blair, thank you so much for being here, sharing all your wisdom with us today. Everyone, you will find her links down below in the show notes. Make sure you check her out and get the visibility guide, and we will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.